This is a Fatal 4 podcast.
Owens with the upper hand, though misses wildly. Cena, second rope, springboard, stuck out. Caught that time. Oh, and a clothesline! What? Cena didn't get all of it.
Welcome, everybody, to Didn't Get All of It. I am Paul Griffin, and this week on the show, we have the latest Vince McMahon allegation developments, tons of departures from both AEW and WWE, big names, an injury update, some stuff about Raw and SmackDown that we're going to talk about, and it is with a heavy heart that I have to make this announcement, but we will indeed be talking about NXT on this show. I never thought I would see the day, but here we are. They must have gotten really mad that we weren't talking about them, and they went out of their way to put on a show that we have to talk about. But I'm not doing that alone. Joining me is the rest of the Fatal Four, including Pro Wrestling Noah.
It's a good day today. We're recording this. The video games were announced. Certain people were found guilty of things. It's a good day today. I'm a great day to record a podcast.
That's right. The verdict is in, and speaking of being guilty of things, Cody Carlson.
That's right, folks. I've been found guilty on 34 accounts of being fucking awesome.
Oh,
that's right.
We're gonna have to do an appeal on that one. Also joining us, I have nothing relevant or clever to say. It's just B-Rob.
I'm here. I'm alive. I'm beatboxing.
Feel like
hell
we've
yeah.
done the I'm alive thing in previous episodes. People are going to think it's a rerun.
But he's beatboxing this time while he's alive. And that's
true. What are
that makes good
Help
podcasting.
people understand what beatboxes are.
Like, you know, when you go to the gas station and they have like the 5 different, like, here's a little container of super alcohol to pregame on your way to the actual event that you're going to. It's one of those. You just pick it up in the little freezer section, or not freezer, little cooler section.
Yep.
Frozen super alcohol? What is this?
No, it's
Yes.
you know, like the cartons that like coconut water comes in.
Sure. Yeah, here you go.
It's like, see, it comes in the little cardboard box with a little sippy on top. And it's, what is that? It's like
white balance is wild as fuck.
What is that, B-Rob? It's like 8.5 alcohol proof.
No, this is 11.1.
11. That's right.
Shit.
That's a lot.
I'm glad I told you to get a water too.
Yes, I
Is that a lot?
It's right here.
Yeah, that's a lot, Cody.
Okay. See, I don't
Yes.
drink. Never have.
Good
Never
for
will.
you. Don't start.
A normal beer is like 5%.
So he's basically drinking 2 whole beers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is
Well,
that the math?
he's drinking one beer that's really strong.
Yeah.
Like 2 beers is not equivalent to 11 ABV.
Paul would know. I don't know. Shit.
I am drinking a gin martini right now, which is about 30% ABV based on this Google search. I don't actually know what it is. So we're all going to have a little fun on the pod tonight. For those listening on the pod, because you can't watch us and we're not live, B-Rob put his camera on and it looks like it already kicked in.
Oh yeah, and it's not so much the beatbox. It's I got a little bit drunk on sunlight today because I was out there in them streets getting cooked by the sun and everything. So
It's a hot day for that. Yeah.
The state that we live in it's vile for being outside. It is offensive. It's oppressive.
I wanted to cry, like straight up.
It's so bad.
Especially with all the rain happening lately, because then it's just like hot and moist. Those are 2 things that I do not want to be, hot and moist.
Unless
I always thought no, it was hot, and that always made me moist.
Under no circumstances do I want to be hot and moist. And you can quote me on that.
Yeah, what politician was that? He don't like the moist vagina?
What?
What was that dude name?
What?
Yeah, that dude that had the problem with the Cardi B song, the WAP or whatever. Dave Shapiro or some shit.
Ben Shapiro.
Yeah.
Oh,
okay. Yeah. He said you don't like that shit. He said you just
That
like
guy
it.
Gotten anybody moist?
Fan
Not a
paper.
politician, by the way. He's just
Whatever.
He's just a guy.
Podcaster. Imagine being a loser podcaster.
He's a dork, is what he is. He don't like it hot and ready. He don't like Little Caesars. Son of a bitch.
He doesn't like a lot of things. But anyway, we have a lot of things to talk about on this show. Things that we probably won't like. Things we will like. But before we get to that, before I let Cody tell us about the news, I want to remind everybody that you can subscribe to Didn't Get All of It wherever you get your podcast. If this is the first time you listen to this show and you clicked on it on a tweet and you're like, new podcast, how do I listen to that every Friday morning? You just subscribe on your favorite podcast app and it'll be there every Friday morning unless a tornado wipes us out.
Again.
Or you can go to fatal4pod.com. That's fatal, FOUR, pod.com. Find all of our socials, see if we do get wiped out by a tornado, and if you have to wait until Sunday for a podcast. And you can also join the Patreon at patreon.com/fatal4pod, or just go to fatal4pod.com and it'll take you to that too. And that is only $3 a month. It gets you access to the Discord, which is great. We all hang out there all day, every day with fans just like you and John. And also you can get ad-free episodes at the Patreon. If you like listening to the show and you're tired of being interrupted by casinos and your local car dealership, well, guess what? $3 will stop that real quick at patreon.com/fatal4pod. Finally, you can also send us emails for the show at fatal4pod.com. We do have a Oops All Emails episode coming up exclusive to the Patreon, so please submit your questions there. And I don't think I have anything else to say about all of that until later. So, Cody.
Paul.
What's in the news?
Well, a whole lot, actually. I think the first thing we should talk about is the latest development in the Vince McMahon investigations and court cases. Released today per Janelle Grant's lawyer. Ms. Grant has consented to a request by the United States Attorney for the Southern District of New York to stay her case against Mr. McMahon, WWE, and Mr. Laurinaitis, pursuant to a pending non-public investigation. We will cooperate with all appropriate next steps. So basically, in other words, Janelle Grant, the the victim or the accuser of Vince McMahon, the one who's suing Vince and John Laurinaitis and the WWE, has agreed to essentially put that case on hold as the U.S. As the attorney's office basically continues their indictment into their own sex trafficking investigation against Mr. McMahon.
Yeah, so my takeaway here is that the DOJ basically stepped in and said, could you not do this case just yet? Because we have a fuck ton of evidence. And my theory is, and again, I'm not a legal scholar, I just watch MSNBC. My hunch is that the Department of Justice, who's investigating Vince McMahon for federal crimes, has a fuck ton of evidence. And the last thing they want is for Janelle Grant's case to go to court and be done poorly and give them precedent to get out of court cases later, or to be settled and also kind of create a predicament for like, hey, we actually have all these other crimes. And they say, well, we settled this one. So like, what's the big deal?
Yeah. They don't want anything to point at and be like, well, this went like this over here. So we should, get some leeway over in this situation. Like, nah, don't want any of that.
Considering all of the wacky judges that have gotten put in the last, previous administration, you never know with these things. So I think it's pretty wise of them to put a hold on this case, but also non-public just became very public. He's in big fucking trouble.
Yeah.
And that brings me great joy. I hope he has a really terrible rest of his life.
You think him and Trump going to be in the same prison?
No, I think Trump's going to pardon him if people aren't careful.
Yeah, please vote the other way.
I mean, people are going to be so pissed that we get into politics this early in the show, but
yeah.
Do you really want someone picking 3 Supreme Court justices in the next 4 years? Something to think about if you like having rights. Anyway, speaking of departing rights, Cody, what's the next news story?
Yes, several departures actually this past week. Those included are Jake Hager, Arn Anderson, and Mark Henry. Their contracts have all expired with AEW, and they will not be resigning. According to Bodyslam.net, Jake Hager's contract expired, and he elected not to resign. Mark Henry confirmed on his Busted Open radio show that he will not be renewing his deal. He said it was a mutual thing, and that if he can't dedicate 100% of himself, that it's only fair for both parties to end the relationship on a positive note. And then Arn Anderson confirmed on his.
Hold on.
Hang on a second.
Wait a goddamn minute.
What?
Right, Paul, you go ahead. I think you got something, but I'm probably gonna be in.
You might have the same thought. He said, "If I can't dedicate 100% of myself, I don't want to be there." What the fuck were you doing there?
Well, I was about to say, like, I feel like Mark Henry might be one of the biggest impacts of these releases, because wasn't he like their like community?
He was
like
a
person,
talent scout
like,
too for a bit.
Yeah,
like I thought he was like basically like the Titus O'Neil of AEW in some regards.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and like community work and stuff.
And
I also, so the Jake Hager thing also, you said he opted not to re-sign. Do you think he was given a contract to even re-sign?
I don't know. That's.
Like, I too would opt to not sign nothing.
Well, that's the thing. Like I said, it's all in your management. Who manage you and helps you get your contracts and everything and your money and all that bullshit. I would think that in some cases is in a like to what you would have with a football or basketball player. You have your player options or whatnot. So like you do a 3-year deal, but 2 of them is mandatory, and on the 3rd year you have the option to either stay or opt out or whatever. And also they have the team clauses to where it's the opposite, to where management, you have 2 years mandatory, and upon that 3rd year, the management has the right to be like, nah, we'll let you go or whatnot. So it could be that type of situation if you have the right management and representation.
I bet it's closer to that situation. Also, Arn Anderson, Cody, you were saying.
Yes, Arn Anderson took to his podcast on the Four Horsemen Network to announce that him and.
Does everyone have a fucking podcast?
Yeah, it's because of fucking Conrad. He's keeping all these old people afloat.
That him and AEW have parted ways. Now, what's to me the most interesting is this happens with Arn Anderson this week, the same week where Cody Rhodes, that is, was talking in an interview about how he might want to go old school and have a manager.
Oh no!
Be a champion with a manager, and that coinciding with around the same time that Arn Anderson's contract is up in AEW could be a coincidence.
Mm-hmm. And then it's not so much old school. I mean, we've seen that with Punk and Paul Heyman or whatever. So I mean, it's not that old.
I mean, I think
that was like 30 years ago. So it actually is.
I think this is an instance where someone needs to tell Cody no.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that works.
I mean, this is also the same guy that brought back the old classic Intercontinental Championship. This is also the same guy that was kind of campaigning to get like a winged eagle type style world championship back into the company or whatever. So, I mean, he's paying homage to his, the old school lineage and all that other shit. But
we don't need homage to being so old school by being just a good champion.
How does WWE feel about gun violence? Do we know how they feel about?
I think they're cool with it now.
Guns this around these times, cool. Okay.
Paul, in post production, can you insert that clip of Kevin Nash being like, "He's got a gun"?
No. I'll just leave that.
Okay. But yeah, Do we think Jake Hager shows back up? Do we see the return of Jack Swagger anytime soon?
I believe
No.
so. I mean, I do. I feel it could work out or whatever. I mean,
Where?
NXT.
I can see him in NXT, honestly.
Yeah,
do you think he would finally develop into a good performer there, or no?
I think Jake Hager actually is not as bad as most people say he is. I think he's had some bright spots in his career.
Mhm.
And I don't know.
Like
I
when
think he could do
the pyro would go off when he did his push-ups, those were bright.
What about when he had that quote unquote MMA match with Wardlow?
Okay, that's not.
Would you consider that a bright spot, Noah?
I mean, it was an interesting spot. It's one that I remember because of how crazy it was.
You know what? Truly, whenever I wish I had a Truly as well, but when Jack Swagger debuted or whatever, I forget how long it was until that moment happened to where he won the world title. I enjoyed him up until that point, but once he won the world title, it was literally a flick of a switch. I mean, you can watch the moment that it happened, and that's when they started dubbing him as Robo Swagger. So like he was like smiley guy doing the push-ups like Paul was saying, but when he won that world title in that match, I forgot who it was against. He held it over his head and his smile disappeared and he just had a serious grimace on his face. And then he started wearing suits and it was just kind of lame and shit after that.
I enjoyed the
Him and Big Show?
Now I'm forgetting the name. Was it the Real Americans? That's what it was, right?
Yeah, We the
Him and
People.
Cesaro. Yeah, We the People was fucking great, and it was over.
Yeah, that was fun.
And they had a banger theme song that I still have on my phone as a ringtone.
You have
I want that Jack
ringtones?
Swagger back. I do.
Yeah, that song slaps at the Capitol on January 6th. It's like Cody's saving it for next year, just in case.
Just in case.
Well, flipping sides real quick to the WWE contract situations. It appears as though Brooks Jensen has been let go. There's no real official reports as of this recording, but people have noted that Brooks Jensen has updated his bio on X, saying that he's taking bookings.
Already accepting bookings, yeah.
Yeah, and a few of his peers have kind of commented on X, saying that, you know, he's talented and will be missed and things of that nature. So,
all right. So if I could speak on him real quick. So in the group, you have Brooks Jensen and Josh Briggs, the one that Paul keeps forgetting every week.
I thought it was Brooks and Jensen, like Brooks and Dunn.
So Josh Briggs.
No,
and,
Brooks is done. Is what we're talking about right now.
Yeah, so like if you put these two side by side, given the content that we've been given of the two in NXT, I think I would lean more towards Jensen over Briggs. Briggs is a talented big guy, but I think Jensen's true potential shined at that last Halloween Havoc when they did like the costume cosplays for some of the characters in the matches. So he came out dressed as Magnum TA. He had the mullet. He had the music in everything.
Yeah, he came out the separate ways, right?
Yes,
By
separate
Jordynne.
ways.
That's so fucking
And
cool.
it was the whole presentation, him, his mannerisms, everything. It was on fucking point. And I enjoyed everything within that moment or whatever. If they would have went on that trajectory with that character, I think he could have did big things or whatever. But it also at the same time, I think you have more upside with Josh Briggs going to the main roster over Jensen at this moment. You know, even with the gimmick that I just praised and what.
I mean, they still have people that have been called up to the main roster who we haven't seen, like Dijak.
Mm-hmm. Who he also has a contract issues, right? I think his is, despite being drafted, his contract is coming up soon.
I feel like the whole company's contract is up starting like next week. But I think firing Brooks and Jensen at this point is is it firing? I don't know. People like to tell me you didn't get fired, you got let go when stuff like that happens. And I'm like, it's all the same. You still get to file for unemployment.
Mm-hmm.
I think because he's so young and he's still new, this is an opportunity for him to like go learn something outside of the performance center.
Yeah, and that's what I appreciate about that.
And it's wrestling. Like, it's not like he can't come back. That's all anybody ever does anywhere is come back.
Yeah. Because usually when you hear something like this, because like it seems like his contract was up and they let him go. And it was the conversation that we heard so many times with so many different talents over the years to where like, hey, man, we're not going to renew your contract or whatever the case may be. But if you go out there, you do great things, you hone your craft, the door is always open for you to come back, like Paul was just saying or whatever. And we've heard that with a lot of people. I mean, I know this is an extreme scenario, but I mean, he came back to be a world champion. Jinder Mahal, Drew McIntyre as well. Same thing for him. He got let go. He went out. He toured the world and he came back to be a world champion. And it's just like, I like to see that shit. So I'll try to track him at this moment, you know, to see what he does after this. But I'm looking forward for him to come back if that's an opportunity that he gets.
Did you guys know that he's Bull Buchanan's son?
Yes, we talked about this on the show. I was going to bring that up.
That was the other guy.
No. Josh Briggs is what's that? Chaotic Wrestling up in New England. That's the same place that Kofi Kingston and Sasha Banks came from, and also a Casanova guy, your boy Carmelo Hayes. They all come from that same region. Josh Briggs would also go on to be with Austin Theory and all them and Evolve and everything when WWE got heavily involved with them and stuff. So that's where Shotzi and all them came from, all that stuff.
Oh, you really started off by selling it well, and then you're like, also Carmelo and Shotzi.
I'm sorry. I mean, I'm
like, yeah, Sasha and Kofi, that's cool. They're probably really good. And you're like, and Shotzi, and I'm like, well,
it's the big show.
Well, speaking of big things, big
that was
time
all the
Bex.
releases? Oh, well, Bex, yeah. It's not a release, but her contract is in limbo right now, correct?
The morning of May 27th, Becky Lynch had not signed a new deal with WWE. And her deal is set to expire this weekend.
So do we think it's on her kind of holding out for a better money deal? Or do you feel like this is a creative freedom situation to where like I've done everything that I can do here and I want to spread my rings and do something else?
I think, according to the Wrestling Observer, she's taking an extended leave from WWE and has allegedly told people she's not going to AEW.
Okay, so
things that have been said.
See, now I can
I think she wants to be
that.
a mom with her fucking daughter.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, I'm down for all that.
I think there's something to that, and also maybe just thinking that, you know, like she was part of the first wave of, you know, the women's revolution era of wrestling, right? So, and there are a lot of women coming up from NXT right now. Maybe she just feels like, you know, I've done my part, and now it's time to make room for all these, you know, new performers.
I think there's plenty of room for her there. It's just a matter of her daughter's almost 4.
Yeah.
I haven't gotten all the way through her book yet because I don't read fast. In that I will read a chapter, say, that's great, can't wait to do that again, and then a week will pass. I think my understanding is that she just really wants to spend time with her family.
That's fine.
That said, if Rebecca Quinn shows up at AEW next week, I'm going to have some thoughts, because I still do think if WWE lets this person walk without backing up a truck full of money, it's really stupid on their part, because they've built everything around their women's revolution stuff around her and
Bayley,
to a lesser extent Sasha.
Mm-hmm.
And Sasha's already gone. Your women's history goes, like, the stuff that they'll talk about, though it seems like they've gotten a little looser with it lately, goes back to like Rhea Ripley versus Charlotte and completely omits the 6 years before that. So the idea that they would let her go is really, really dumb. I think that they should do whatever they can to keep her.
And this is another thing too, to agree with your point or whatever. They let old wrinkly ass, punk ass Undertaker. They wouldn't let him go do a fucking AEW Starcast, a fucking fan freaking podcast joint or whatever.
And they shouldn't.
Him or
not
Kurt
everyone
Angle.
should be on a podcast, folks.
Yeah. Like him or Kurt Angle. They didn't want them to go over there and be involved with all that stuff. So they paid them an exorbitant amount of money to keep them on retainer, more or less, so they wouldn't go do shit like that. I don't understand why they won't do that for Becky Lynch.
I'm sure they will. I wouldn't be shocked if this is also leverage. The idea that she's a free agent in the wrestling industry in 2024 probably gives her a lot of leeway that wasn't there yesterday when she wasn't signing the deal and put in front of her.
And it like how you said, it creates the buzz. It's doing the thing that we're talking about right now. So she does have that leverage, because the same thing happened with Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens at one point in time.
Can I go on the record and say that I think Mercedes Moné wins her match at Forbidden Door and is celebrating in the ring, and then we see the guy, Rebecca Quinn, make her way down to the ring and face
It
off
would be
with
really
Mercedes.
bad.
And then
One, because I think that they've already sapped the luster out of Mercedes. I don't think she's presented half as good as Sasha Banks ever was. And I can't imagine what, like, it's the guy. It's the guy. You get the crowd chanting, and then Rebecca Quinn comes out with the silliest outfit you've ever seen on because no one pulled her aside and said, maybe not that. I worry about that stuff because I think AEW has some great talent, and I think that they're doing some good things here and there. I think bringing in Rebecca Quinn, I think they kill her luster the moment she steps through the door.
Yeah, and there's also they alienate their roster as what they did with the men as well. It's just like you had this homegrown talent from day one and through the pandemic era, but you started bringing in all these other people and pushing these other people aside, and it's fucking stupid or whatever. I mean, business wise, I mean, you do what you got to do, I guess. But like for me, as the consumer, as the fan, as the person watching the shit from week to week or however much, you're disappointing me. You know,
I think there's also a ton of people that I've seen already being like, I think this company doesn't need Britt Baker anymore. Britt Baker hasn't been on the show in like 8 months. So for you to even come out and say that is silly. It's also like her place. I mean, and they should treat her like she is a star to them. They should treat her as such. And for people to be like, she can move on, go to NXT. This isn't it. I think certain companies should have their stars, and I kind of, as much as I like Britt Baker and think she would do cool things in WWE, I kind of don't ever want to see her there. The same way I don't want Becky Lynch in AEW. I don't think she would fit their mold.
Yeah,
maybe she would, and maybe it'd blow my mind, and I'm happy to be proven wrong.
Yeah,
but I don't. I think they're missing something that makes her feel special there.
Yeah. And then it could also be the same thing that you pointed to earlier, Paul, to where like she could go over there and she can get that flexibility and that relaxed schedule to be with her family. So I think
it's just, you can get that in WWE too.
Oh yeah. I think if she can angle for that in WWE, it would best serve her there, because
it also best serves them.
The problem is 1/3 of her family is in WWE.
Yeah, that's exactly the point that I was going to bring up. I mean, yeah, you're exactly right. So it would best serve her to get that.
Seth was still up in the air contract wise, but he resigned. Like he's staying in WWE. So
yeah,
I don't know. I do think there's a real possibility of what I just said about Forbidden Door. But honestly, most likely, I think she just takes some time off and maybe comes back in 6 months, Royal Rumble or something.
I feel that.
But I'll also be honest, like this might be a hot take. If she never comes back to wrestling, I'm okay.
Yeah, me too.
I kind of agree there, and by that I mean like if her career is done, I think she should have a proper send off. But
yes,
she's done it all.
Right.
She'll go down as
Hall of
one
Famer,
of the greatest.
Like
Yeah.
What else does she really need to prove? There's really no more dream matches I want to see. Like her program with Trish last year was cool. She's worked all the Four Horsemen ladies. Like she's worked Rhea. She's worked all these people. I don't.
Yeah.
She can just reinvent herself. Like I don't think she's overstaying her welcome.
Whoa. Yeah. But like to all your points just then, I look at it as like, performer wise, she's done, as you said, done everything that she could do in that company, more or less. It's just like when you're a performer, you done it all. You look towards, doing more. So, and if you've done all you could do here, you look toward the horizon to see what you can do somewhere else. So, I mean, that could be an option as well. But like, for the life of me, I would rather her stay on the WWE side than the other side.
Wait a minute. No, you know what's going to happen, B-Rob?
TNA.
And you're going to love it? No.
No.
Although that would be crazy. Rebecca Quinn is going to AEW, and she's going to join Chris Jericho.
Oh,
she does have some things to learn. Yeah.
Because all that. Come on, man. Don't do that to me.
I don't know. The learning tree needing a lynch.
Oh no.
Nope.
I mean,
B-Rob's here to not get mad about that.
I told you, man. It's like I am weary for Brian Keith being under the learning tree because we know how black people do with white people under trees.
Wait, did you guys coordinate so Cody could give you that joke? Because you told me that joke on Sunday, and you're like, "Fuck, I forgot to say it on the podcast."
We did not coordinate, but I know he's been wanting to tell that, so I did.
Was this a coordinated attack to make a really problematic racist joke on the podcast?
He teed it up for me, and I hit it out of the park.
I'm going to leave all of our technical difficulties in, so no one makes it this far.
Well, speaking of not making it very far, Edge, Adam Copeland.
That dumbass.
Went for a elbow drop off the steel cage at the Double or Nothing pay-per-view this past weekend. And, he didn't get all of it because he came crashing down on his legs. And now he will, he took to X this week to announce that he suffered a fractured tibia and he will undergo surgery.
Dumbass.
I mean, it looked cool, but
it did not look cool. It looked like he broke his legs immediately.
I think as he jumped, you could see him regretting it.
Yeah. So, like,
I mean, an elbow drop off the top is like kind of ridiculous. Like, maybe do a different move, but like, boy,
why didn't he do
that
like
was
a
certainly
splash
something.
or because it looked like he was going for
Malachi
something
was
else.
wrapped in barbed wire. He wanted to pinpoint drop the elbow so he wouldn't scratch himself.
Okay,
that's dumb.
Never mind the fact that they were both completely destroyed at this point in the match.
So, like, yeah, I look at this and I'm like, Edge is a giver. He was really truly looking out for the man at the bottom. He was like, if I do this, I'm gonna fuck him up or whatever. So I'm gonna sacrifice myself.
And boy did he.
Yeah, because like when you do something like that from that height, you need to get a little more. So like if he was going for an elbow drop, he should have had his armpit at least past Malachi's midsection, and he would have been okay. Because if you look back to when Jungle Boy did the same move off the top of the cage, he didn't go out far enough. He dropped the elbow on the person and he ricocheted back down into the mat. Because like your balance is off. So you need to get out further. So whenever you have that recoil to where you make contact with the person on the bottom, you're going to come back or whatever, and it won't be that bad. So he just didn't get over far enough. If he would have got over a little more, he would have been all right. But like he went straight down to the legs and touched Malachi Black.
I personally think Edge
shouldn't have done it.
I know. I think him. I'm not thinking. I personally think him. for doing everything. He doesn't have to be doing this at all. Dude,
No.
could just not. And you know what? He gave us a cool moment at the expense of his tibia, and whatever. Thank you, Edge.
Mm-hmm. Now he's out of rotation.
Yeah, I feel like he's going to be out a while too. That is it's a rough injury,
especially for a man of his age.
But always trying to look at the silver lining on things. I think they have the opportunity to do some really cool stuff when he comes back, because I feel like by the time he's recovered, we can get to a point where Christian can kind of wrap up his current story and his heel run. And he's doing great work, so I would say like turning him right now would be a mistake. But like let him ride it out for another 6 months to a year, whatever it takes for Copeland to recover, and then like have Christian get turned on or something by the rest of the family, and Edge comes out and makes the save. And
you got to assume that I think you got to assume that the House of Black gets involved with the Christian program, and that's how you get to Edge helping Christian.
Yeah, there you go.
I like that.
So, speedy recovery to Adam Copeland. It's a shame, but it does open up a lot of possibilities for that, but also the TNT title.
Yeah, they're having a tournament.
Yep.
What?
Well,
surprise!
All right. Well, that's the news, folks. Stay tuned, because we're doing a first time ever on Didn't Get All of It event. Right after the break, we are talking about NXT. Can you believe it? Stay tuned.
Surprise.
All right, folks, we are back, and I said at the top of the show, this breaks my heart. I never thought we would have to talk about NXT on a show where we talked about the only important things.
So it's come to this.
I feel vindicated.
I said when we started the show, we're only going to talk about the important stuff in wrestling.
Yeah.
That's why we had the longest news segment ever, because a bunch of important stuff happened. Yet here we are, middle of the show, talking about, well,
NXT.
Just listen to this and you'll understand.
Roxanne, you will be defending that women's championship at Battleground against who? Who is it?
Let me officially introduce myself. I'm the TNA Knockouts champion, Jordynne Grace.
Juggy, duggy, quack, quack.
You gotta be kidding me! The TNA Knockouts champion Jordynne Grace has just challenged the NXT Women's Champion Roxanne Perez at Battleground. Oh my God!
Whoa.
Booker, that's Ethan Paige! Wasn't he an
Whoa. Trick! I took out Norm! I took out Oro!
Whoop that trick? Yeah, I'm about to.
So
My pants are
That's a
so
whole lot of
tight.
happenings.
Oddly enough, this is the first time I've watched NXT since starting this podcast.
Yeah, and let's
It's my fault.
Wait
You
a minute.
chose Sexy Red Night.
Yeah, let's air that out or whatever. So like Paul was so elated that he like, I don't have to watch this shit no more because we got this different format, yada, 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 yakety schmackety. And then here I am getting text messages talking about, why am I watching NXT? I was like, you son of a bitch.
So here's the thing. People do not need to be tricked by the sound bites they just heard, because everything I just played was very cool.
Mm-hmm.
This show is still very bad. They try. Some of them less than others. Like, I think there's some hot prospects, and I use the word hot literally on this show. But that's a topic for another day.
Mm-hmm.
the rest of the show is still tough to get through. It is. We still sat through, I think, a 60-minute match with
it felt like
the guy who used to be with Sheamus.
Yeah,
with
Josh Bridges. I said Josh Bridges.
Oh, Ridge Holland. Yeah.
Ridge Holland had a 60-minute Iron Man match to kick off the show, which went, I think, 2 Iron Man matches. Really dreadful stuff. But at the same time, Roxanne doesn't have a challenger for her title at Battleground. At the UFC Apex Center in Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
So Ava comes out and announces that the TNA Knockouts champion Jordynne Grace, who we all saw in the Royal Rumble, who I would say stole the fucking show in January. Absolutely smart of them to keep her around, because they want to sign her as soon as her deal is up.
Mm-hmm.
And to have this working relationship is good for both her and WWE.
And TNA.
I don't think it helps TNA at all.
It helps a little bit. So
I'm not going out of my way to watch the fucking Good Brothers show up in TNA.
You're not, but someone might.
I am. At matter of fact,
already watches TNA.
Listen though, Linda, listen. Tonight, as we record, Thursday night, 7 p.m. Central Time, is when TNA plays on television or whatever, or Access if you have it, or in your cable package, or YouTube if you're an insider, which you should text Impact Wrestling or TNA Wrestling, their official website, because there's changes coming to the YouTube stuff. Anyway,
I said we were talking about NXT. We're not talking about TNA.
I am talking about NXT if you fucking wait.
That's a bridge too far for me.
I am talking about NXT if you wait. So tonight, as they played in TNA, they played the NXT footage on TNA airwaves. And I thought that was cool as fuck. They talked about the whole Jordynne Grace situation and her facing Roxanne Perez. They played the NXT segment on TNA television.
Yeah,
that's fucking cool.
Shawn Michaels is over here like, I don't think you can do that.
Shawn Michaels is like, I don't even know what channel that's on. Mm-hmm. Anyway, Jordynne Grace is way too big of a star for TNA. It's good that they have this set up. I think that Ava, the GM, should probably be let go of her responsibilities as a kayfabe character. This is a very irresponsible move to let another promotion come in and possibly steal your top women's championship. And she should be fired.
I mean, yeah, but
logistically, this is a unwise business decision.
Well, I mean, that's the thing, though. If you work out the legalities of the thing, then, I mean, if it's in your favor, then yes, that's why you do it. So, whatever. I mean, this is kayfabe. This is fiction. I don't, whatever.
Yeah, and kayfabe wise, that's bad business. She's
holding
her women's title up for hostage.
Think about it. Think about it. I mean, it gets eyes on the other product at a small level, but you sent your world champion to another show, another company, and that motherfucker lose. What does that do to your product?
Who says she's losing?
That's what I'm saying. I mean, it's either way. But like I said this before.
TNA needs all the help they can get. That's an evergreen statement for every iteration of the company. So they don't care if she loses.
Mm-hmm. But I said this before. Damn. It's just fuck, man. This is fucking cool as shit. And I kind of lost myself. But yeah, I'll get back to it whenever I remember, because the beatbox is taking over.
All right. B-Rob needs to take a beat break. The other thing we heard was during the show, there had been several attacks on the Metaphor, which for people who don't watch NXT, which I assume is most people, is a stable of dorks in this promotion.
Is that the Noam Dar one?
Yes.
Yeah.
The sexy dorks. And
Lash Legend is, I think it's kind of known that she's dating
Trick Williams,
the champion of NXT. I think people know that, but it's not like an on-screen like relationship, though it's been alluded to a few times now.
Yes.
And she thinks that Trick Williams is taking out the Metaphor for some reason, because who knows? And in this segment, in the main event, the lights go out when she confronts him, and Ethan Page shows up, formerly Ethan Page in AEW.
Formerly Ethan
Shows up
Page
in
in TNA, formerly Ethan Page everywhere else.
People know who Ethan Page is if you follow wrestling to like a minimal degree outside of stuff that's on TV. He shows up, beats up Trick Williams, says that he beat up the Metaphor as well. This, and Cody, you've said this specifically, you think he's going to excel here.
Yes.
I think so too.
I think Ethan Page is very good, but a little rough around the edges. And I think NXT is the perfect environment for him to hone his craft. I think he's like content wise, a very good promo, but his delivery it's always bothered me. It always just feels like he has one speed, one volume, and it's just very intense, yelling and loud, which can be great when, called
It's
for. But
Call for it,
Yeah, his gain is turned all the way up on his mic. He's just constantly screaming.
And I'm hoping Shawn Michaels or somebody down there can kind of tone
Bring
that down a
him
little
in.
bit.
Yeah.
But otherwise, he's good in the ring, and he's got personality and a decent look. Like, I think he's gonna really shine here. And it's very exciting. This was a very cool moment. Something that NXT has not provided us in a very long time.
Yeah. And then like I feel like it's going back to the days of Black and Gold or whatnot, to where like you get top prospect indie talent in NXT to do cool things or whatnot. And to go back to the point that I lost a little while ago or whatever, because the beatbox took over. Jordynne Grace. I said this when she showed up in the Royal Rumble. Damn, that was WWE contract tampering, to where like they brought her in. They was like, yo, check out what we got to offer here. Look at this catering, look at this backstage environment. Look at what we can provide you for travel. Cause I'm pretty sure since they brought her in like that, they pay for her travel and all that other bullshit or whatever. And it's like the same thing with this NXT experience, because if you look back after the Rumble, she even tweeted from our posted, however X works now, that this is not the last that you've seen of me. Stay tuned. Or whatever. I'm kind of paraphrasing, because she said something along those lines from her Twitter account or X or whatever the fuck you call it. She knew that something was going to happen in the future. I didn't know it was going to be this soon, but here we are with NXT and Jordynne Grace showing up. And I was just like, holy fuck. Because it kind of shocked me even more, to where like I found out not by watching NXT, but via our group text, and Paul was like, B-Rob is silent while all this shit is going on. And I appreciate you for doing that.
Laying pipe or something.
Yeah. I appreciate you for doing that, because you didn't tell me what was happening. You left me intrigued. You let me be like, oh, what the fuck is happening? Because I was, doing
Many people say I am a nice guy. And if there was one thing that I knew B-Rob would love, it was not me spoiling that segment.
And then I would go back and watch the NXT replay or whatever, because I DVR it. I went back and I was like, holy shit. And I felt the same way I felt when she showed up at the Rumble, and I was just like, this is fucking great. But yeah, WWE low-key contract tampering.
I mean, it's not contract tampering if they let her go there.
I'm just saying, it's just like,
I think they know the writings on the wall. They have her while they have her.
You see the writings on the wall.
I think as far as Ethan Page goes, I think it's interesting that they're running an angle where he claims he's not signed. Like, of course he's fucking signed. But I think that's a neat little twist. I bet they let him go do a TNA appearance just to like further advance that angle.
I like that. Yeah. And especially because there's so much TNA connective tissue here. A lot of people don't realize, and I even forgot, that Roxanne had a small stint in TNA.
Well, there you go. Yeah, I thought there were some very neat things happening on this show that I wouldn't have expected. Again, though, word of caution, don't seek it out. Lexis King had a really terrible match on this show.
No, you don't say.
Rich Holland wrestled forever. There was a couple women's matches that were pretty all right, but
yeah, NXT overall, is a woman heavy show.
It is. This show is so weird, and I'm still not sure who Sexy Red is, other than my knowledge is that she's a MAGA rapper.
Paul, let me tell you.
I don't need to know who she is, though. I clearly see that the people
Paul,
in Florida love her.
Let me tell you. Her own words. Her pussy pink, her booty hole brown. That's all I got to say about that.
That doesn't make her special. That's like most.
Yeah, I mean, majority.
Most of those do be like that, though.
Mm-hmm. I agree. But I'm just saying, she put it out on Front Street. She told the secrets, I guess.
Well,
by the way, speaking of Lexus King, I think it's really funny that NXT is like bringing in all these people like Ethan Page and just letting them be Ethan Page, but Brian Pillman Jr. had to get rebranded.
Ethan Page is a name that he has had for a while that has carried around promotion
across all the countries.
And Brian Pillman Jr. is one of the worst wrestlers to ever live. So,
yeah.
True. And he has one of the worst beards I've ever seen. Dude, fucking Sharpies on his face.
Yeah, now he's like, doing it intentionally.
Yeah. It's like, you know how Cody said that like NXT would be the perfect environment for Ethan Page to get better? I feel like you could have said that about Brian Pillman Jr., but I feel like he's gotten worse since he was in AEW.
He does have a chair that he slides in on.
Oh boy.
That's cool. I like that, but that's it.
How do we feel, by the way, about Vic Joseph's
the
call
AEW?
of this?
Great.
Yes.
Yeah, where he's like, that's Ethan Page. We've seen him on 8. And then Booker T
was like, well, the only good thing that fucking Booker T did. The only good thing that he did. Other than that, you know, Jordynne Grace is cutting this serious promo. This is a shocking moment, and you got Booker T in the background. Shaka quack quack. You stupid ass motherfucker, you.
I think he was beatboxing on this episode of NXT because he would not shut the fuck up.
Oh, he was talking about Vic. That's why I love Vic Joseph. He pointed out that Booker T had a boner, and he couldn't stand up because he would knock the desk over.
Vic Joseph is very funny, and Booker T puts up with or allows a lot from him, which I think is good.
Yeah, well, no, it's the other way around. Vic Joseph allows a lot from fucking Booker T stupid ass.
Well, I think we're done talking about NXT, hopefully for quite a while. But they did neat things this week, and we unfortunately had to talk about them. After the break, we are going to get into the shenanigans that took place on both Raw this week between Braun Breaker running amok, Chad Gable and his contract status, and also AEW Dynamite had a couple of things that were worth talking about and a whole lot of things that weren't. We'll talk more about that right after this.
All right. Well, we're talking about NXT, but there was some other stuff that happened on WWE, notably Monday Night Raw, which I don't know. Like, I feel like this week's episode was like not super eventful. It sure did open with like a revolving door style like opening segment where just like everyone was coming out getting angry at each other, that eventually resulted in, what was it, Braun Strowman versus JD McDonough was the first match that resulted out of that first segment, I think.
Well, yeah, that was a running thread throughout the show, was Braun chasing JD through the backstage.
Which was honestly pretty funny. Like they made it seem like he was Mr. X from Resident Evil 2, just like constantly stalking JD, just like he could burst through a wall at any moment and take him down. That was funny.
This Raw very much felt like we just got back from Saudi and we are tired.
Yeah. But
much like me standing in the sun today.
But there was some like, pretty eventful like things that people are talking about on socials. The thing I've been seeing the most is the spear that Braun Breaker did during the Ricochet and Ilya Dragunov match, which
this was so
resulted in its finish. But yeah, like, because on TV it just seems like he came out of nowhere, just like, oh, he's suddenly in the ring and spears the shit out of Ricochet. But then there was also the clip that was shared of him just like prowling like a cougar or something, like a mountain lion, just like through the crowd, and then eventually just like, you know, goes into full sprint from the barricade into the ring, into the spear.
It was like lightning. He just like took off, shot out of a cannon.
That dude is a freak.
Yeah, I loved all the Braun Breaker stuff on this show, just like I did last week. The fact that Adam Pearce was just like, he's not here tonight, he's suspended, he's fined, which I was like, man, that kind of stinks that we're not going to get like any immediate follow-up from last week's cool shit. But that was the whole thing. That was the swerve.
Yeah.
Because when he came out and speared the shit out of Ricochet, I popped. That was great.
And this
Braun
is
Breaker
all
is
resulting.
like the coolest character on the show right now.
He's the bad boy, and he's this is all resulting still from him being pissed that Adam Pearce didn't include him in the King of the Ring tournament, right?
Yes.
Like he's like,
I mean, he should have
holding Adam Pearce accountable for his actions.
I guess what's the payoff to this? It's not a match with Adam Pearce.
Or
does he book him in a match against the Braun Undertaker? Braun and Braun, I think, is something. I honestly want that to happen just for the commentary. Pat McAfee is going to have a stroke trying to call that
pronouns, pal.
Do you think he gives him a match against Gunther as like, okay, then fucking prove it. If you think you would have won the tournament, then fight the guy who won it?
No, because they protect Gunther, and you don't need that. But I think Braun Breaker and Braun Strowman is a fine approach.
Yeah,
Braun
and Braun.
Braun versus Braun.
Yeah,
the other big thing that happened was there was some story advancements with the Alpha Academy. Specifically, Gable has had enough shit and brings the whole academy out there.
I'm still going forward with my fantasy booking of Maxine's turning heel here because he keeps removing her from these situations.
Yeah.
Quickly before anything bad has to happen. And I think it's because she is in on it. And she's on board with Gable and is going forward with him, which is an interesting twist because she joined because she was in love with Otis.
Was that the original like story angle?
Kind of. It was her and the
she was enamored with Otis.
Oh,
she was
right.
Her and
I forgot.
Male models, and she kept trying to bring Otis over to the male models, but he didn't. So she joined them instead, and the male models got let go, and now they wrestle in that mud pit.
I forgot that she was originally with the Maximum Male Models before the
because they
this whole era.
They made what was LA's name? It was Max Dupree.
Max
and
Dupree,
then it changed to Maxine Dupree, and it was kind of like a tandem. And then LA Knight got phased out back into regular LA Knight, and Maxine kind of took over that momentarily, and then we got the metamorphosis that Noah talked about.
I think that was happening right before, like, you know, the Paul Levesque era started, so I wasn't really watching Raw weekly at that point. So I like kind of missed that whole I was aware of Maximum Male Models happening, but I wasn't like watching it happen, if you know what I mean.
Who also still work together, and they just came from not too long ago the soft ground wrestling in Uganda and helping that promotion prosper.
Is my mic not working? Because I did just say they got released and wrestle in a mud pit now.
Oh, I didn't get that. My bad.
Yeah, you didn't get all of it.
I did.
But the things that happened here, so this is rolling out of the events that happened at King and Queen of the Ring, where Otis lariated or clotheslined, or whatever you want to call it, Gable as he was holding Sami Zayn up for Otis to attack him. So Gable wanted to discipline Otis in front of everyone. And he tells Otis to go stand at the other side of the ring.
Yes,
and he starts undoing his belt, which was giving me like some it was reminding me of like MJF and Cody in AEW of like, oh, we're doing lashes.
It reminded you of childhood.
No, thankfully no.
This was a weird segment.
It was a lot of tension, but like weird tension.
It really dragged. I would say it was one of the, I don't want to say worse, but it was one of the less good Alpha Academy segments I've seen.
It felt very like Vince McMahon wrote this.
Yeah.
Which is very weird because we haven't had any of that stuff in a while. But this felt like it had Vince's dirty fingers all over it. It was a very weird segment.
I don't think it did, but it
no, I'm not implying
that vibe.
Yeah, no, I'm not implying that he had any hand in this at all. I'm just saying like it was the most Vince McMahon coded Paul Levesque segment of all time.
I did like the way it ended though, with like Maxine standing up, against Gable, holding him back before he was able to lash Otis. And then Sammy came out to, talk him down too, right?
Yeah, Sammy was there, and then Chad beat up Sammy a bit and posed with him because Otis kind of helped.
Yeah. I like the way it ended, but just, that the part in the middle of just like waiting for, a potential belt beating to start was like, felt really weird.
The rest of this Raw, though, I couldn't even tell you what happened on it. Punk wasn't there. Like, I don't think Jey Uso was there.
There was some Judgment Day stuff.
Yeah, nothing notable. I appreciate them giving us a nothing show if they're going to give us an NXT that we have to talk about and a fuck ton of news.
Yeah. Well, speaking of news, the other thing was that Gable's contract is running out, I think by next week. But out of all the contract shenanigans happening this week, I feel like his is kind of the most like not really much to talk about here because I'm fairly confident that he's going to resign.
We talked about this a few episodes ago. I think it is great that the person who was in charge of all this stuff got fired because we shouldn't be coming up to this. Like, it shouldn't be, hey, their deal's up next week. Did they sign a new one yet? No. That just shouldn't happen in a company like this.
Right. Especially with like a story that is so heavy in development as the Alpha Academy. Like, I feel like it's probably fine. But speaking of things developing, a lot happened on this week's episode of Dynamite.
I wouldn't go that far.
Was it? Well, I didn't say it was all good stuff. I just said things happened. Things definitely happened. One of the things being, so there was like this really long EVP segment with the Elite. They gave Kazuchika Okada a car.
Yeah,
first of all, can we get one entrance for all these guys and not let them all have their own entrance?
Hey, that's
I get that they're rules and they're supposed to be dreadful.
I don't know. I kind of like the coin flip into Okada's entrance.
Yeah. Also, sure, I don't think they can fit. They can only fit 2 people on that Cody Vader. I don't think they can fit Okada on the Cody Vader with the EVPs.
I don't care. Like, give him an NWO music and let him get on with it. Is there another HBO show they can knock off? Give him the Curb Your Enthusiasm theme.
That'd be good. But yeah, all that happened, and then Christopher Daniels shows up and it's
he's now Adam Pearce.
He was dressed as him too.
I had to do a double take. I literally thought Adam Pearce had.
Me too. Like from a distance, it was like, oh, it's Adam Pearce.
So you guys left out the part where the Young Bucks stripped Adam Copeland of his title because he can't defend it, and people booed this, and they were going to give it to Jack Perry for beating Bryan at the pay-per-view. And I'm like, yep, that makes sense. Like, it's a heel move. Mm-hmm. I thought it was good. And then Christopher Daniels shows up and announces that he was let go, but now he is the interim EVP and says that instead this match or this title will be defended in a tournament. My question is, how can an interim EVP overrule multiple other EVPs in the ring? And also, why is he an interim EVP? Tony Khan is there. We saw him at the pay-per-view in the main event.
Well, no, he wasn't there. He was like he said, he is the voice of Tony Khan, more or less, or whatever. He said whatever he says comes directly from Tony Khan. So he's
Tony
a
Khan needs to sit a gorilla.
Then he should be a proxy VP.
That's what he said. That's what I just said.
No, he said interim EVP. He should be proxy VP.
Mhm.
Proxy VP is a very
Because interim implies some kind of wait, what?
No, you're thinking of Proxy V Perez.
Proxy Perez. Yes. Okay. I eventually got there. But yeah, so it's
dumb.
weird.
Why do we need a tournament for this fucking belt? Stop.
That's what they do.
Stop with the
Come on.
tournaments.
You know that.
They love tournaments. We just had a great tournament in WWE.
I know. It was simple and they did it in like 3 weeks. But they're also doing like the Owen, and they announced that the Owen tournament is going to amount to title shots. Didn't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like,
Wonder where they got that idea from.
I know.
I
It's
don't know. Just
coincidental.
like thinking about wrestling in general, like you should have things for title shot. Whatever. Christopher Daniels coming out to zero reaction because unfortunately nobody knows who he is if his Titantron isn't playing. It did look like Adam Pearce cosplay.
Yeah. It was
and
so
then the
strange.
Acclaim showed up to protect him.
Yeah, that also was like, why? I mean, I like the Acclaimed, but why? Why the Acclaimed coming out to
They
do
want
this?
title shots, I guess.
I guess.
But I'm still confused how a single EVP can overrule two.
He's a proxy. They didn't clarify that well enough, but
He's got the Tony Khan power.
yes.
So does he have more ownership than both Young Bucks combined?
Yeah,
I could not tell you. I have no idea.
He's the voice. He's Jesus, and Tony's God. There you go.
This
Damn.
is so the Elite getting the car and the stuff, and then the Jericho Treehouse, and then the Don Callis segment.
Treehouse.
Lots of.
I could not
of
even
lots of heavy
tell
talking
you.
segments on this show.
Yeah.
I honestly don't remember a lot about the Don Callis thing, but the Jericho
I do.
Treehouse, I feel,
Before we-
man.
Yeah. Hold on. Let's rewind.
Yeah, B
back.
Rob's got a lot to say.
Rewind back. The Don Callis thing or whatever with the contract offering to Orange Cassidy or whatever. I said this prior to this, that when it came down to it and the contract was presented, it was going to be for Trent. And that's kind of like what they did here. So vindicated. The Treehouse shit, that's what we call it now. Fuck, man.
And I feel like they're really leaning into just like how antagonistic this whole angle is, because AEW is not really known for doing these like talk show segments, but that's definitely what this was.
Mm-hmm. Bringing the WWE to AEW.
That's the whole point, though. It gets him heat at the AEW crowd for being a WWE. Like, I get it.
I mean, he's getting heat regardless.
Yeah.
Especially from me.
Yeah, they're just amping it up.
Let's not do that.
Yeah. And of course, the part that B Rob hates the most is that Brian Keith has been wrangled into this whole situation.
I mean,
and
look,
being forced to say nice things about Jericho.
yeah, but look, it gets him paid, gets him on TV. Whatever. I'm happy for him in that aspect, but like, boy, as a consumer, I do not like.
Yeah, it's all very unfortunate, but all of these things have for a varying quality of of all the segments happening on the show. One thing that can be said about this episode of Dynamite is that the main event was very cool. It was the what did they call it? The casino gauntlet. Yeah,
they did one of these like a month ago, and it was great.
Mm-hmm. It's like we just
didn't know what it was a month ago.
Right. So it's like a Royal Rumble, but the intervals that people come out is random, right? Like there's like no real rhyme or reason to win or who comes out to enter the match.
And
also, the thing Also, the thing that really confused me was like when it was over, I was like, oh, that's how this thing ends? Because like you don't eliminate people by throwing them over the top rope like you would in a Royal Rumble. It's just the first person to get a pin or a submission.
It's a multi-man, like essentially what a fatal 4-way or a triple threat is, but with a whole bunch of motherfuckers.
Yeah, just like people keep coming in to fuck with shit. That was, maybe something needs to be a little tuned up a little bit as far as like how this thing ends. But that being said, everything else about this thing was very, very cool. Because like, it was
tuned up. It could end immediately.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. It's like it's 21 people in this whole thing or whatever, and it can end at any time with a pinfall or submission. Yeah, no, that's what they said. It's specifically their rules. It's 21.
Like it doesn't
blackjack.
But like it doesn't operate under right. Well,
but that's what I'm saying. It's highly disrespectful to everybody involved or whatever. I mean, just like I'm just thinking about the whole thing as a whole. It's 21 people that's supposed to be in this thing, and they're random intervals and everything, and it can end at a drop of a hat by pinfall or submission at any time. So like you book 21 motherfuckers for this show, and it could potentially end with the first 2 motherfuckers in the ring, and it's just like, what? You know, it's just like, why advertise all this bullshit if you're not going to deliver? You have to have 21 people come out.
No, you don't. I think
I know you don't. Like in the context of this, but it's stupid as fuck if you don't.
With this type of match is you book that match. Maybe it ends in the third entrance. Somebody pins somebody.
It's like the Money in the Bank essentially, to where like you figure like when it first started, everybody that wins the Money in the Bank has to cash in. They have to win the fucking title. To where like over time they start dwindling it down, like everybody doesn't win who cashes in and all kinds of stuff. But like you have this, but it's 21 goddamn people.
I think you end the match early next time, so early that number 4, 5, and 6 are like, hold up, that's bullshit. We didn't get our turn.
Exactly.
And like you book an angle out of people who didn't get the opportunity because the other 3 wrestled too quickly, and I guess they had to go to commercial breaks, so they weren't allowed to go out.
I think that would be an unfortunate thing to happen in this specific one, though, because this one was for a chance to be at Forbidden Door, right? So the revolving door people going, world title shot at Forbidden Door, and this one, the revolving door of people coming through this match was all international stars. So you had like people from CMML, like Hechicero, hell yeah, and like Mystico. Then you had all the New Japan guys like Shota Umino and people showing up. So really got to spotlight some of those people. If people don't remember who Hechicero is, go watch this match and remember who Hechicero is, because damn, Hechicero is cool.
And that's what I'm saying. That's disrespectful for the other motherfuckers in this match, the 21 people participants or whatever. You got Shota Umino, you got Hechicero, you got Mystico, all these people internationally coming in for this shit, and you're gonna end it with the first 2 motherfuckers or something like that.
Rob, you gotta know, just because they say there's 21 people in the match doesn't mean there's 21 people waiting.
I know, but it's disrespectful.
It's not disrespectful. They were never there. They don't exist. It's not real. There is not a pile of 21 people backstage being like, I hope it's my turn.
There is.
There's 8.
Does B-Rob think wrestling's real?
I think that's what happens when you beatbox.
No. Remember these statements or whatever, because when I bring up some real shit, y'all gonna be like, no, this is stupid. All right, motherfuckers.
Sometimes it's stupid.
Continue.
Yeah,
I know, and I've been saying this for the longest, and y'all be like, oh no, not fuck it. Anyway, continue.
This match is really cool. It ended with Will Ospreay coming out and getting the pin. So Will Ospreay is challenging for the title at Forbidden Door. I'm sure that match is gonna fucking slap ass.
I thought this was way earlier than I expected.
I'm surprised they're doing this match because Will Ospreay's not winning. It's just not happening. So I guess this will tide people over for the people that think he should be world champion by giving him this chance and him not winning.
Yeah.
Because I mean, what I say about it he's doing the goody like reluctant, face like I don't want to hurt people type deal with the Tiger Driver 97 or whatever the fuck he calls it and all this other crap. Will Ospreay as a heel is magnificent. So this is seeds leading to that eventual point to where, like, if they revisit this again in Wembley, heel Will Ospreay versus face Swerve. Amazing.
Will Ospreay ain't being a heel at Wembley Stadium.
I gotta assume that I'm just gonna fantasy book this one real quick. I assume that Don Callis will be heavily involved in this main event program because I watched the show and he's heavily involved in every segment. But also, I think he's going to cost Ospreay this match in some form or fashion. And it sure does seem likely that Adam Page might be ready to come back around the same time. And Swerve and Adam Page at Wembley seems like a match to make.
Okay. I mean, there's many ways that we can get there, but like, I'm excited for all of it.
I'm sure it'll be good.
Yeah. One more thing before we finish Dynamite. One thing that caught my attention I really want to bring up is this lady from CMLL showed up.
Oh my God.
What's her
Stephanie
deal?
McCool.
She's really cool.
My God. Dog. Let me tell you. Me and Cass talked about this lady or whatever, because like she was a part of one of the New Japan shows that me and him went over and whatnot. It was my first sample size serving of her, and I was enamored from the get-go, from the entrance to the in-ring presence, her attitude or whatever.
She's got a great look, and judging by the footage, she seems very good at wrestling.
She is very, very good at wrestling. My God, I told you this in the group chat. I will give you all my logins to the things involving her so you can watch this woman wrestle.
Yeah, I might. Yeah, because even when she showed up in person, like at the end of the women's segment.
I was not expecting that.
She has like that presence, like you were saying. Like you see her and you're like, oh, this is somebody. This is like a character on this show, and she's going to do things.
She's gonna fuck shit up. She is that good.
The video package that they showed for her really was crucial, because if she had just walked out on stage to confront Mercedes,
it would only been me excited.
But the fact that they showed that video footage of her earlier, it instantly grabbed my attention. I was like, whoa, this person, she looks cool. I want to see more of her. And then they showed me more of her. So I'm excited for what I assume will be her and Stephanie and Mercedes at Forbidden Door.
So Paul sent the text regarding her coming out in person or whatever, and it made me laugh to no end, but it also made me happy as hell. He was like, hey, that's that girl from earlier.
Yeah, it's her.
It's her.
That's why they showed you that video. That should shut up
right.
all the dorks on X.
I love her. Her and I always get the pronunciation of a name wrong. Cass knows who I'm talking about, but like
Hikaru Shida?
No, Utama. Utama. I forget her fucking name, but she did a show.
Hideo Itami?
No. She did a show in New Japan with freaking Tanahashi or whatever. It was like a mixed tag match, and she has that presence as well. It's like just like Stephanie's or whatever. It's just an aura around this woman, both of these women, and it's just like magnificent to watch when they get in the ring as well. I'll send you information on her or whatever, because like I'm doing her an injustice by mispronouncing her name because I'm a stupid American, but I'll send you the deets.
Damn. Yeah. Looking forward to that. And I guess looking forward to this upcoming Forbidden Door pay-per-view. But that's Dynamite. And I think that's all the TV we had to talk about this week.
Well, speaking of deets, I have something to share with you right after I say, we didn't get all of it, folks, but we will try again next week. If you liked this very chaotic show, please subscribe to Didn't Get All of It wherever you get your podcasts. Also, if you do subscribe, please write us a review and say nice things about us on your Apple Podcasts app and wherever else you can write reviews about podcasts. If you really like the show, please tell people about it, post about us, and consider joining the Patreon at patreon.com/fatal4pod. That's fatal FOUR pod. For $3 a month, you get ad-free episodes, full access to the exclusive Discord, where we're doing stuff all the time. We even have a bonus show coming out soon where we are reading your emails that were sent in from our website. And there's B-Rob hosts movie watch-alongs, so everybody gets together and they watch stuff and hang out and have a good old time on the Discord. It's a nice little community. If you're sick of the noise on X, this will absolutely fill that void for you.
Yes.
I'm still on X. I took it off my phone for as my New Year's resolution, and it's not on my phone. But I do now own a second iPad, and both iPads have Twitter on it, and so does my desktop. So it's not like it's left my life. But and you know what? You can also just go to X on your Safari browser on your phone. So it's really tough to purge this, and the Discord does a really good job of helping get rid of those social media platforms you hate. So, thank you. If you have subscribed, your support goes a long way. Thank you for reviewing, and thank you for joining the Patreon. And if you missed anything I just said, that's fine. It's on fatal4pod.com. For myself and the rest of the Fatal 4, we will see you all next week.